Michael Jordan is not only the best basketball player, but he's the most exciting basketball player to ever play.
Tatum fires away, pumps it in, 51 for Jayson Tatum.
The Big Three NBA podcast is powered by Prize Picks, the exclusive daily fantasy partner of the CLNS Media Network.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back into the Big Three NBA podcast. I say back because I have been away for a while, but Sherrod and Gary have been holding it down. I appreciate y'all.
Look, we do anything for our star, our franchise center. You know,
he called me Joel Embiid, y'all.
Hopefully we'll be better than the Sixers when they didn't have Joel Embiid. So
I don't understand. How did
Kwani Embiid, Kwani Leonard.
I'll take Leonard because we have similar spellings of our names. That's all I got.
Welcome back, Kwani. Welcome back.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Kwani good for like at least another 2.5 podcasts straight. Then she might need a break.
Then I'm gonna need to take another
low management. Then we got kicking low management.
2.5. I'm good for 2.5, and then I don't know about
Oh my goodness. I hope that's not the I do not want that reputation. So I need to be back here consistently for the team. Let's get into the NBA Cup. The Celtics playing the Cavaliers against Donovan Mitchell, MVP candidate. Right into it. What are you two looking forward to from that game on Tuesday? Oh my gosh, this week's flying by.
Great game. It should be a great game. I mean, Cleveland is playing the best basketball. Let's just call it what it is. Best basketball in franchise history right now. Mm-hmm. And the Celtics have been good, but I don't think anyone feels the Celtics have been great. They've been good. It'll be interesting to see how the Celtics rise to the occasion because they are going to have to play one of their better games to win this game against Cleveland because Cleveland is a good team. They're getting a lot.
And they're undefeated at this point, by the way. I've buried the lead. Undefeated, 15-0.
Yeah, undefeated. And the one thing that, again, I'm curious to see is how will the Celtics rise to the occasion because they're going to have to step their game up if they're going to in that streak.
Yeah, the Cavaliers are playing, like you said, Sherrod, great ball, teamwork. They're getting career years out of guys. And they have the confidence they can score on anybody. I mean, you know, their defense hasn't been great lately, but they can put up 130, 35 points on anybody. So the Celtics are going to have to, like, their defense has been, I would say, average at best this year. They're going to have to step up defensively. They're going to have guys, no lapses, no slow starts, none of this, you know, that they've had the last week or 2 weeks. They've played pretty, on a scale of 1 to 10, 6 basketball over the last couple of weeks. They've been able to win. They're 11-3, so you can't complain about that. But Toronto was the worst team in the league and took them to overtime. Brooklyn is not a very good team, took them to overtime. They lost that game to Atlanta, which was, to me, a pretty embarrassing loss because they got punked in that game. So they're going to have to reach back and get all of what they got for this game. And I think they seem like they're looking forward to it. They're fired up for it. But it should be one of the better regular season games we've seen at the Garden in a long time.
Yeah, and that to me, that's what makes this one so special because, you know, you can talk about important games in November, but there are very few games that going into it actually matter that much. But when you look at where Cleveland, what they're looking to do this year, and you look at what the Celtics are looking to do, this game means a lot to both of these teams, not only because of the whole, you know, Emirates NBA Cup deal, but just for the simple fact that this Cleveland team is on an unprecedented pace right now, and the Celtics are the champs. This is clearly the team that is going to present the greatest threat to you repeating as champions. And here you got a chance to play them on your home floor, packed house, early, you know, we're talking early November, and you get to play them when they're going to be at relative full strength and you are Porzingis absent, obviously. You're going to pretty much have your core group intact as well. So I'm looking forward to this game. I mean, I think this is going to be one of those games that we're not just going to be able to just brush this one aside easily and just think, that's just another game that back in November. This is one of those games that I think is going to set the tone for how the Eastern Conference is going to be played out. Because if Cleveland wins this game, now you start having some serious question marks about whether the Celtics are built to repeat. And if the Celtics go out there and smash Cleveland, it becomes a matter of, okay, can Cleveland bounce back? They've been able to knock kids out easily, but can they get off the mat now that they've been knocked out?
Yeah.
So, lots of storylines and subplots to this one.
Wait, another storyline that is definitely derailing the conversation, but should the Celtics want to win the NBA Cup, especially considering the inaugural winner were the Lakers, so now they'll have a new tier of competition with LA?
Go ahead, Gary. Since you're talking about your Lakers.
Oh my goodness.
I think they should want to win every game. I think it does mean something to them. I think they were a little bit upset last year when they lost the quarterfinals at Indiana, and then they kind of blew it against Atlanta. So now they've got to literally win out the last 3 games, Cleveland, Washington, and Chicago, and then hope some things happen because Atlanta's now 2-0. You got to give Cleveland a loss. You got to hope Chicago loses or whatever. Like you got to hope that some good things happen so they can get one of maybe win the group. That if Atlanta finishes the same record, Atlanta's got the tiebreaker, or get one of those 2 wild card spots. In other words, 18 out of 30 go to the quarterfinals. So they got their work cut out for them losing at Atlanta again. That was a bad loss, but I do think that they want to win it. They want to get there. They want to get to the quarterfinals, get to the semifinals. They got to play their best basketball. This is their hardest game, obviously. They should be able to beat Washington on Friday, and then they should be able to beat Chicago next weekend, which will be their last game of the Cup. But this is something they should want. You don't want to be at home or playing some regular season games while other teams are in Vegas. But the way it looks now, Atlanta's 2-0, the Knicks are 2-0. It could be a pretty mediocre team that reaches the semifinals, and just like the Lakers were last year, end up winning it. So it doesn't mean that they're not going to win the championship if they don't win this cup, but it's something they should want to do.
I think for them, it's like, yeah, it'd be nice to win it, but we ain't going to sweat if we don't. I think that's kind of the attitude that they're taking with this thing because, as you pointed out, Gary, the team that won the inaugural cup was the Lakers. And last I checked, they were doing the same thing that most teams were doing come late playoff time, watching. And the Celtics ain't built for that. They understand that at the end of the day, the only goal that they truly, truly, truly absolutely thirst over is winning another championship. And anything that they can win along that journey, that's just icing on the cake. But again, to your point, I'm curious to see this Cleveland game because this one, it goes beyond the cup. It goes beyond, any of the usually early season, sending a message type games that you hear and talk about. This is a game that there's no way you can get around the importance of this game. This team is beating everyone, literally beating everyone they stepped on the floor against. And you are the defending champs. You better take this game personal. You better take this game as not just another regular season game because it's not. I don't know if we've ever had a circumstance where a defending champion at this point in the season faced another team that was undefeated. That just doesn't happen every day. And are the Celtics going to embrace the moment and rise to the occasion, or are they going to treat it just like it's another game in November? And I'd be very disappointed in them if they treated this as if it was just another game in November. Because even if, to me, something that Joe Mazzulla has talked about, this team, the effort has been pretty consistent throughout, but the execution at times hasn't been quite where it needs to be. It damn sure better be where it needs to be if they plan to beat Cleveland. Because if they come out here, lollygagging and just kind of easy breezing their way into the game, they are going to get their asses kicked. And we're going to talk a little bit more about just some of the different players not named Donovan Mitchell who are major factors in this Cleveland team being the best team in the NBA at this point in the season.
Yeah, thanks for teaming me up. Let's get back into the matchup itself. Before we do get into the other players, Donovan Mitchell, we mentioned him being an MVP candidate, but what has he been doing differently this season that has made his game stand out so much more?
I think a couple things he's done that stand out when I watch him play. He's a better defender. I think he understands how to defend and not be a problem for them. Because remember, with him and Garland in the backcourt, you've got 2 relatively smallish guards, and they have been able to play. Donovan specifically has been able to play where that hasn't been a major factor. But to me, the biggest thing that he's doing is he doesn't seem to play with the same pressure that he has been playing with previously, where he felt he had to score. You look at this Cleveland team, and Gary touched on it earlier. They are the highest scoring team in the NBA this year. And offense was a problem for them last year. They relied too much on Donovan to carry the load, where now you've got Evan Mobley, you've got Allen, you've got a multitude of guys on this roster, Garland, who are able to score. They're all scoring at a career high level, which means they don't need Donovan to be as ball dominant as he's been in the past. I think they're doing a really good job of keeping him on and off the ball so that teams aren't able to really lock in on how best to defend him. And Donovan, I give him a lot of credit. He's being a lot more, I think, trusting of his teammates, and that trust is being rewarded with guys having career years. So to me, basically, less has been more in terms of what he's bringing to the table, and as far as him having the ball in his hands. And again, they're just a better team, and that's exactly what Cleveland is doing. They're playing much better team ball as opposed to Donovan Mitchell and a bunch of dudes who running up and down the court ball.
Yeah, Mitchell, it's interesting. His scoring from 2 years ago, right, when he was an all-star. His scoring is down from 2 years ago by 4 points. His minutes are down by almost 5 minutes. He's only playing 31 minutes a game. He's averaging almost 25, but he's shooting 42% for three. His three-point, he's always been a streaky three-point shooter. He's been a pretty good three-point shooter, but 42% obviously is in an upper echelon. And like you said, Sherrod, they're not dependent on him as much because they have guys like Ty Jerome, a surprise, a shocker.
Former Celtic draft pick.
Yeah, like someone who probably will compete with Peyton, maybe in the most improved or even sixth man of the year of what he's doing. Darius, Garland, the big boys up front, and Jarrett Allen, Evan Mobley, Karis LeVert, always a Celtic killer. They're getting fantastic contributions from all their guys. They're playing a faster pace than they did. They were always a good defensive team under J.D. Bickerstaff, but this time they're playing more team ball. They're playing more faster pace ball, team ball. Look at I'm looking at their average, like 6 guys averaging in double figures. I mean, and that's outstanding. And guys, Karis LeVert shooting 46% from three. Ty Jerome shooting 54% from three. Sometimes limited opportunities, but I mean, Mitchell 42.1, Garland 46% from three almost. Like, these guys are shooting lights. They're shooting 42% from three as a team, right? So they are out-Celticing the Celtics pretty much. I mean, they're not shooting up 50 a game, but they are making 42%. When you're making that amount, you're extremely hard to beat. They're taking only 37 a game and compared to over 50 for the Celtics, but they're making 42% of them. So the Celtics are just gonna have to play their best defensive game. They're gonna have to hope someone. They're gonna have to put the onus on someone to beat them that usually doesn't beat them. You can't let Mitchell go for 50. You can't let Garland go for 35. So it's going to have to be maybe an Evan Mobley, a Ty Jerome, a George's. Like, you're going to have to put it on someone. You can't stop everybody, but you're going to have to stop somebody. And so I think that the Cavaliers are a juggernaut at this point, and the Celtics are going to have to play their best defensive game. But I think when you look at Donovan Mitchell, he's not doing as much because he does not need to do as much, but he's been more efficient in lower minutes and lower shot attempts.
Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks and do so with as little as 4 correct picks that can get you up to 100 times your money. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this basketball season. Which players are going off? Which ones aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. Just download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today, and use the code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game.
You mentioned Evan Mobley. What has his impact been for the Cavs?
What you got, Gary?
Mobley is someone who is you've waited for the light to come on. He came out of USC, one and done, a guy who was always been a plus defender, right? The problem is with him was he's not comfortable at the rim scoring. That's not the case this year. Averaging 18 points a game, 8.8 rebounds, 1.5 blocks. So this guy even almost 3 assists. So this guy's doing it all. And he is taking that step forward. This is what the Cavaliers needed from him to make him and Jared Allen just almost impossible to stop in the paint because they both can protect the rim. Both averaging combined near 3 block shots a game and about 20 rebounds. So the Celtics, you can't let this team kill you on the offensive boards. I think Mobley is just taking that step forward. He's a guy, he doesn't do any commercials. You don't see. I don't know if anyone's ever heard him talk. He has just put his head down and decided he's going to gradually improve his game. And his game is, he's shooting about 57% from the field. And I said, he's even taken a couple of threes this year, but just taking that step forward at age 23, 24. And that's what they wanted. They were looking for that. And I think we saw a little semblance, a little slice of that in the Celtics series when he was basically their only offensive option when Donovan Mitchell was hurt and he was taking the ball to the rack and he was going, he was getting at him. Now, the Celtics wanted that because they wanted to trade 2 for 3s, but when you saw Evan Mobley in that series, you're like, yeah, if he does more of this, he's going to be an all-star. And so he's having that type of season, and he's a guy who just does his role too. He knows he's not going to take as many shots as Garland or Mitchell, but he's going to get his, but he's also going to do the dirty work in the paint, get those rebounds, and also defend.
Yeah, the big thing I noticed with him is that they're just running more action through him now than they used to. They're forcing defenses to actually respect what he can do as an offensive player, and that's something that we just didn't see much of last season. I don't know whether it was just a matter of JB just didn't want to go there or whether Mobley wasn't quite ready to assume the load that he is clearly capable of now. But the big thing for him is that he's showing a level of consistency with his game that we just did not see last year. And in the playoffs, we saw glimpses of how good a player he can be and live up to the hype that so many had when he came into the league. But what he's doing now, he's an all-NBA player. I go a step further. I think he has moved past the all-star caliber talent thus far, and it's really, I think, is very much in that conversation for all NBA based upon the way he's played up to this point. Now, obviously, there's a lot of basketball left to be played, and certainly that'll bear itself out over time. But he's doing so many of the little things: rebounding, defending, giving them offensive punch beyond just putbacks and cleaning up, doing a lot of the dirty work. He's actually becoming a viable threat for them. And Gary, I think you kind of alluded to it earlier when you talked about how, he came into the league after 1 year. I think this is year 3, year 4 for him. And so his body is starting to fill out to where he's not so easily moved back and forth the way he used to be. And he also has the benefit of wisdom. He knows the game at this level way better than he did 2-3 years ago. And that experience, that wisdom is really starting to pay off. And it's helping him play with Allen. Because remember, last year they just didn't look like they could work coherently together. And when the playoffs, his best basketball came when Jared Allen was not playing. So to see what he's doing now, and it's, with Allen on the floor at the same time, that's part of what happens when you're in a program for 3-4 years and you're learning, you're getting better, and everything is coming together. And certainly, one of the low-key factors in his success is the coaching change. Let's just call it what it is. I know a lot of us, myself included, really were kind of hating on the Cavs when they got rid of JB, because JB, you just didn't think could be held, that Cleveland team was battered and banged up and injured in the playoffs. And so for them to get bounced the way they did by the Celtics, it just didn't feel that you'd fire a coach over that. But I give the Cavs credit. I mean, they went out and they got a guy in Kenny Atkinson, and we'll talk a little bit more about him. They're definitely a better team now, not just the record-wise, but just their style of play than they were a year ago.
Well, you keep teeing me up perfectly. I don't really need to do anything today, but Kenny Atkinson, like you mentioned.
Okay, Joel.
Stop.
Joel trying to get out of playing, Gary.
Dang, the load management coming soon. I can feel that elbow. But Kenny Atkinson, as you mentioned, it's first season with the Cavs, 15-0 so far. And well, we can get into Joe Mazzulla and the coaching matchup overall, but what do you think he has done for this team? And then we can get into how does he match up with Joe Mazzulla as a coach for this game?
I think people forget that he used to coach the Brooklyn Nets. And when he did coach the Brooklyn Nets, the one thing that he made a very clear and undeniable part of their identity was they were going to work hard. You may beat them, but they came to compete every single night, regardless of how talent challenged they were. And that's one of those things that Kenny Atkinson and the teams that he's been associated with, that's kind of what they do. That's how they are. And so now he has a Cleveland team that he's instilling some of those same, foundational principles, but there's one difference. These guys can play. He actually has a team that can not only play hard, which is what he wants, but they're talented guys who are playing hard. They're guys who have a legitimate chip on their shoulder. People, self included, did not think Cleveland would be very good this year because I wasn't sure whether Mobley would make that transition to being a top flight player, whether Donovan Mitchell would become comfortable doing less with more and being more of an impact player by doing less. There are lots of unknowns about this team, and to their credit, they have answered the call time and time again this year, and Kenny Atkinson deserves a lot of credit for that. The way that he goes about doing his job, the way he prepares his team to battle. We also forget before he was head coach in Brooklyn, he was an assistant coach with the Atlanta Hawks many years ago. He was the one that developed Al Horford into a three-point shooter. He was the one that convinced Al that this was a part of your game you need to add so that you can have longevity in this league. And so when you look at Al Horford, who now he's on pace to become a 40% or better three-point shooter for the third year in a row, Kenny Atkinson has a lot to do with that. And when you look at the way Cleveland is shooting as a team, it's not a surprise when you think about who their head coach is that they have become a very difficult team to contain offensively because that's just kind of who he is and what he does.
Atkinson, I thought, he left Brooklyn and he got pushed out of Brooklyn because KD and Kyrie didn't know him very well and they wanted Steve Nash to be their coach, and we see how that worked out. He goes to Golden State.
Steve Nash, he got paid.
Yeah, it helps win a championship. And remember, he was going to take the Charlotte job about a couple years ago, before Steve Clifford came back, and he turned it down. He accepted it, then turned it down, and waited for the right job. And obviously, this was the right opportunity. A team that was ready to win, a team that probably just needed a little bit more of a boost offensively, and they're playing faster ball, taking more threes, and taking advantage of their their offensive players. And the thing is that they didn't really make any offseason acquisitions. Cleveland didn't add anybody. They just re-signed everybody. The key has been Ty Jerome. And there's a guy who was out injury most of he played 2 games last year. So he was a complete non-factor. So for him to come back and be a guy who can turn around and average like 15, 16 points off the bench in 16 minutes is insane. I'm sorry, he's averaging 11 points in 17.5 minutes a game. So he's not playing a whole lot of minutes. Yeah. And he's shooting, as I noted, he's shooting 54% from 3. So that is the biggest surprise, is that they're basically playing the same guys as they did last year. They're just getting more contributions from guys like Sam Merrill, Isaac Okoro's come back, Dean Wade has had his moments. So if you're a deep team, guys, they have, let me see here, 10 guys playing at least 17 minutes. So he goes deep into his roster. They're playing faster. They're playing some of their key guys less minutes to save them in games. And then Garland, to me, he's the guy who's been unlocked because he is so crafty, and he's a small guy, but he can get to the rim at will. He can hit the floater game, hit it off the glass, and he just gets to the point where he's so quick and speedy and crafty and nifty he can get anywhere he wants, and you get tired of guarding him because he just doesn't stop. So the key to Cleveland to me was unlocking Garland in terms of playing with Mitchell, as Sherrod had mentioned earlier, and it seems like he has been unlocked. So they've got a dynamic duo in the backcourt, two high-quality centers, and then, you get by with LeVert or Georges Niang or Okoro as your other guy, your defender, or Dean Wade, and you've got quite a combination. Now, are they ready to win the championship? We'll see. Obviously, there's been teams that have won, not necessarily start 15-0, but have had these long winning streaks and not even made the final. I remember, if you remember, Sherrod Kwani, remember Houston several years ago won like 22 in a row during the season. They didn't make the finals. So this is not, Cleveland. Could Cleveland win it? Yes, at the way they're playing now. We'll see how they do over an 82-game season. But for now, they're the best team in the East, and the Celtics are going to have to respond because the Celtics were playing like the best team in the East for a while. Then that loss to Indiana kind of curtailed them a little bit. And since then, they've been a little bit erratic.
Summertime is winding down, but the college football season will be in full swing before you know it. There's no better way to get your college football fix than Game Time, which is where you can find the best deals on college football game tickets, concerts, NFL, WNBA, and so much more. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff, so show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. The one college football game I'm looking forward to seeing this year is when my alma mater, Syracuse University, comes to my neck of the woods and takes on the Boston College Eagles. There's a great selection of seats starting as low as, get this folks, $3. That's right. $3 can get you in the building. Having the map of the stadium along with the different color-coded prices makes it super easy to find the best seats for your budget and not have to scramble all over the place on your app to do so. And you're covered by Game Time's lowest price guarantee, where Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
Joe Mazzulla has already proven in some ways that years of experience isn't everything, but when we do look at that matchup against a coach that's been coaching for 20 years at this point, how do you two think that they match up against each other?
Go ahead, Gary. Talk about your boy Joe.
Oh my gosh.
I think Joe will have a game plan. I think he'll be completely prepared for Cleveland. I think he's had a couple of days to prepare. They played Saturday. They rested Drew. I think that was important to get him a day off because I think, he's not a young man anymore. They got him that day off. He'll be ready for Cleveland.
He had to play that overtime game, so.
yeah, he's not playing those extra minutes. So now you got a fresh Drew coming on. So I think they'll have a game plan now, whether they can execute it, whether their thing is, let Cleveland take as many twos as they want as long as they're not taking threes. That might be the best plan since Cleveland's leading the league in three-point percentage. But they've got it. I think their biggest obstacle, Sherrod Kwani, is just psychologically, not starting off slow, not getting into lapses, not blowing a big lead, and just punching first. It's a national TV TNT game, with Shaq and Charles and those guys going to be talking about it. So this is one of the bigger regular season games in recent memory, and they got to be ready. Just be ready. And Joe, sometimes the coach can't do everything to prepare you. He can't make you be motivated. But maybe he comes up with something to get them motivated. And I think the fact that Cleveland's coming in undefeated and they know that if they lose this game, people are going to be like, all the talk, the first takes and all that, the perks, and our friends are going to be like, well, are they for real? What the Celtics need?
Can Jayson do it again?
Yeah,
what does it say about his legacy?
In a simple case of just eating Porzingis, or are they?
And Jalen and Jayson play together,
right? Is it time for
they like each other?
So to me, it's an important game for them. It's an important game for Cleveland. Cleveland eventually is going to lose. We all know that. They could have lost to Chicago on Friday. I watched that game, and Chicago couldn't stop them. But they didn't play good defense, and the Chicago hit a lot of threes. And the same with Charlotte. Charlotte took them into the fourth quarter, coming off a back-to-back. So it wasn't like Charlotte was well rested, but Cleveland just outscored them in the end. So, it could be that Cleveland is due for just a game. I mean, the Celtics, didn't play a great game against Atlanta. They've lost 3 close games or whatever, but they haven't played well. And eventually Cleveland's going to slow down. But to me, I think Missoula will have a capable game plan, but it's going to be up to the players.
Yeah. I mean, that's ultimately what it comes down to is the players. But I think Joe is going to, put them in position to be successful. I mean, these are the kind of games that, just like players get up for big games, so do coaches, I believe. And Joe Missoula is a very emotional coach. You better believe this is a game that he wants bad. Not just because it's the next game on the schedule, not just because, they're a good team, but this is a team that, in theory, is your biggest challenger for your title. This is the team that believes they are better than you. They believe that, because think about it, Gary, the point that you made about them bringing the band back together, the Celtics brought the band back together because they thought that group could repeat. Cleveland brought the band back together because they think this group can unseat them. If we are all healthy enough late in the season and going to playoffs, we can beat Boston. That's their thinking. That's why they didn't make any dramatic or radical changes. And so you've got 2 teams, 2 organizations with 2 ideas that are similar that are going to collide for the first time. Cleveland has shown a level of mental toughness to handle adversity thus far this year. They won 15 in a row. The Celtics, can they meet or exceed that? That's really what this is going to come down to. And I do think Joe Missoula is going to do his part to get them in the right headspace for this game. But ultimately, as you pointed out, Gary, it's on the players. I mean, you either shut up or show up. I mean, some's got to give. And this is the time where they have to show up if they plan to win and send a clear message not only to Cleveland, but to the rest of the NBA that, look, it may be a new season, but we ain't new to this. This is what we do. And this is that first real opportunity to show that.
Well said. Well, Tuesday night, we'll see how it all goes down. Any final thoughts on that matchup before we wrap it up?
Kwani, I just want to say I appreciate you. I appreciate you rocking that hat. Although I really would have preferred you rock a Boston College hat, because Boston College, they beat my alma mater when Kwani was gone. And so I wanted to give her props and her respect. Which is
actually, I had it here because it's just a little obnoxious. This is like a vintage BC hat that
it's all good though, Kwani. The victors, this is the crown of victors. That's what we do. Only winners wear caps. So that's why I got mine on. And that's why you got yours on. And hey, Gary, how you doing?
Well, I was going to wait to bring up the hats after what I'm about to bring up, but we don't talk about our personal lives here a lot. I do want to say I appreciate the 2 of you for the support over the last 2 weeks. The reason why I was on load management was because my grandmother passed away, as you 2 already know. But I just want to say thank you for the support, sending the flowers to the funeral home for my family. But last night I was going through photos and videos of her, and I found a picture of her watching a Celtics game that I wanted to share with you guys.
Look at that.
She had no idea what was going on, but every time I was in that house, I would put on some kind of Celtics game. But just wanted to, send some love to her as well. But also, again, thank you guys, because you guys have really become my family, whether you like it or not. And I appreciate you.
We clown you all the time because that's what we do. That's what family do.
You should.
And it's just, look, I mean, our hearts were, were hurt when we found out about your grandma, and we wanted to absolutely make it clear as day that we here and we love you, but we will clown you,
of course,
at will.
It's needed.
I'm amazed that Gary has not mentioned Shaka Khan once in this episode.
I'm surprised neither of y'all said anything.
It was there. It was there. I was just waiting for the moment,
but it got mentioned.
But I feel for you,
Kwani. I feel for you.
We need a bingo card of this podcast, Michael B. Jordan, Shaka Khan, and others, because y'all are annoying.
One of my bucket list items is to meet Michael B. Jordan one day and just find a way to get him on the show for 3 minutes. I just need 3 minutes.
For it. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
It is.
But until then, for
Sherrod Blakely, I can't believe you faded that dude like that.
See, I had to wrap this up before this derailed again. For Sherrod Blakely and Gary Washburn, I'm Kwani Lunis. Tune in Tuesday. We'll be back next week to recap that game.
I don't care if you Michael B. Jordan, D. Jordan. You ain't getting no love.
You ain't Michael
A. Jordan.
D. Jordan. You
I
Michael
can't.
B, not D. Jordan.
You ain't the real Michael Jordan.
All right, we out.
I appreciate y'all. Thank you for watching.
You ain't the real Michael Jordan.